and happy Sunday. It is the last day of the reading rush, which I know yesterday was not the best reading day. Literally, it is the least amount I have read all month. 28 pages of randomized, and that was it. I am happy I did something. That is something that I have been doing this year, is trying to read at least a little bit every day, whether that's a chapter, a few pages. As long as I have said I've read something, I feel like that keeps me out of a slump, because even if I'm feeling a little bit slumpy, don't want to read, as long as I'm trying to read even just a little bit, it seems to be helping. Now, I have one book left on my TBR for the reading rush, and that is Dreamin Sun by Ichigo Takano. This is for my book set on a continent different than my own, because this is set in Japan. And this is not going to take me very long to read. So, how crazy would it be to just sort of see how many volumes of this manga I can read today? There's 10 volumes total, and then it's done. I have read previously the first 5 or 6, so the end of the manga I haven't read before, and I know I love the ones I have read. I have moved the stack over here, so I have them all ready to go, and I think we're just gonna start at 1 and see how far we can get today. I am fully not expecting to actually read all 10 volumes, because I am gonna be, yeah, say hi, dealing with this one today, you know, going about my normal daily business. However, I'm not in charge of basically any meals today, and I will have to edit this later, but I want to finish as much as I can before, let's say, 8 o'clock. That's like our cutoff, because by then we usually have put him to bed and I need to edit. So it is currently just hit 11, because I had my breakfast and everything, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a manga marathon and see how many volumes of Dreamin Sun I can actually get finished with today. Now, because I have actually read this before, I can give you guys a sort of summary. This series is about our main character of Shamana, who her dad and stepmother have had a new baby, and she's feeling a little bit left out about that, doesn't really know what she wants from life, but she ends up sort of moving out from her house and moving into a sort of group house with a couple boys from her high school and the landlord there. And in order for her to stay there, she basically has to sort of figure out what her dream is in life. This is a shoujo manga. There are some romantic elements in here. I know who I want her to end up with at the end of the volume 10. I have no idea if that's going to happen or not. But everything that I've read about this so far, I have loved. I love the art style here. This is the same author that does Orange, and I know some people are like, everything looks very, very similar. I feel that's just her art style. I just absolutely love this series. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna have to put on some baby songs for the baby, so he'll get out of my hair for at least the first book, and then I will check back in with you guys.
Swim faster, swim faster, swim faster. I see you.
Just past 4 p.m. and I'm currently in the middle of about a little bit more than halfway through the 5th volume of Dreamin Sun. Now, I haven't talked about these too much because I feel like with manga especially, you don't need me to say too much about the summary of each one because they're very, very quick to read. And basically what I told you guys earlier is what these are about. And I had given the first 4 volumes 5 stars. I actually had previously given this one a 5 stars as well as the 6th one. The 6th is the furthest I've actually read in the series because I double checked on Goodreads. I don't fully remember like all the tiny little details, but our main character of Shamana, who is not this girl on here, she is our main character and she is in high school. I want to say I think in one of the volumes said she's like 16, and during the course of her trying to figure out her dream and all this kind of stuff, she does have a couple different crushes, and one of them, this is going to be sort of spoilery, but I have to talk about it, is the landlord that she lives with. And he is 20 something, like early 20s. So I want to say 4, 5, 6 years older than her at the most. But because she is in high school, I don't like those sort of age gaps. Throughout the last couple volumes, when she first started developing her feelings for the landlord, nothing was happening with it. And the thing is, he, in those volumes, was not entertaining her feelings whatsoever. He would constantly refer to her as a child because she's in high school. She wants to feel more like an adult, more like a woman, but he's like, you're a kid. And I appreciate that. However, after being sort of backed into a corner a little bit in this volume, he does actually agree to go out with her, like boyfriend, girlfriend. And I know that I didn't fully like that kind of stuff the first time I read these, and I don't know how long that goes on for. We'll have to see. But I'm disliking it even more now. I love some of the other characters in this series, like Zen is my absolute favorite character. And so the things that I do like about this series are still very, very prevalent, but I didn't like that part of it. Like even in here, so like I said, I'm a little bit more than halfway through this volume. The landlord doesn't really like her, but he did agree to go out with her. So I'll have to finish reading this before I can fully rate it, but that aspect is something that I don't really enjoy. But based on everything else, depending on how big that aspect is in this volume, it might be a 4, even though I had previously rated them a 5, but that's just not my thing. So I'm gonna keep reading this and we'll see how many we get done today. Once I finish this one, I'll be halfway through the series, which is great. Okay, so we're about to eat dinner, but I did just finish the 9th volume of Dreamin Sun, so I will be reading volume 10 since it is only like 6:30. It might be after the baby goes to bed, or we'll figure out exactly what happens, but that is going to be happening since I only have 1 volume left tonight. I did not think I was going to read all 10 volumes today, but apparently we are. Volume 7 is my least favorite, and I'm really disappointed in the way that this is going because ever since volume 6, volume 5 is when they sort of started the whole like, oh, they could be dating sort of thing, but he was never really entertaining her, you know, feelings as actual things. But then ever since volume 6, it's been slowly turning over into that. And for the last like 3 volumes, I've been very like, oh, like volume 7 also introduced like a new character and backstory that I just didn't really care about. But also it's very much going into Shamana and her landlord as being like the final couple, and I don't agree with that at all. So I am still liking some of the aspects of like Zen, who is still my favorite character, absolutely hilarious in general, but also very, very sweet, and I just absolutely love him. And the themes still of like figuring out who you are and figuring out your dream and everything like that, which I feel like is very appropriate for a manga that centers a kid in high school. Now, in one of the volumes, volume 7 or volume 8, I think it was, they did say that the landlord is 5 years older than her when she has a birthday where she turns 17. So the thing is, that means he's like 22. I just don't like that aspect. And so I am going to read volume 10. The last few books that I've read have been averaging 3 to 4 stars because I do take off a star for the relationship aspect I don't like. I'm still liking other stuff, so that, you know, I guess they're more averaging like 3.5 stars. We'll see. I have no idea how this last volume is going to end, and so we'll have to figure that out. Also, I took a break on Twitter and I'm seeing lots of things happening for the creators of the Reading Rush that I really do not agree with, and it is completely making me feel even just gross for me posting this vlog. I'm still gonna do it because I want to be that person that completes this, but I'm very disappointed in the way that this is handled, but I guess I'm not entirely surprised because I didn't do the stay-at-home reading rush earlier this year because of the fact that one of the prompts was for, like, originally, one of the prompts was for reading a book that had, like, a plague or something in it. I can't remember, but it was something very insensitive. I've heard something happened on Juneteenth this year as well. However, I was on a vacation and didn't realize that happened until after the fact, so I feel bad that I wasn't aware of that. And then also, apparently, they did a live where they were supposed to talk about the book club book, which, again, I didn't realize there was a book club for this readathon. It was not promoted enough if there was going to be a thing for it, but apparently it was a book by a Black author. I think it was Such a Fun Age. I'll put the picture here because I don't want to get this wrong, but apparently they didn't read it, and yet the live was still titled after that. I didn't watch the live. I usually don't watch lives that much unless it's something I'm very interested in, and I just wasn't paying attention to it. But all of this is rubbing me the wrong way, and I want to make sure that I'm being more aware and being more active in supporting people that should be supported, but also calling out the people that should not be supported. And so because of this, I have been doing the Reading Rush since I started BookTube, back when it was called the BookTubeathon, but I don't think I'm going to be doing this ever again. This is not something that I want to be promoting on my channel. These are not people that I want to be promoting if this is how they're going to be doing this. So, like I said, we're going to have dinner. I have one more book to read tonight, and then I will let you guys know my overall thoughts. Okay, so I have finished volume 10. It is like 8:40 something, so I went past my time limit that I set for myself, but I was so close to finishing this. I started it before dinner, and then, you know, dinner, putting the baby to bed. I just had to finish it. I did want to say, because I was editing a little bit, and I totally said this is set in Japan, which it is, but I had prefaced it by saying this is for a continent that is different than where I live. I know that Japan is not a continent, it is a country, but I was just assuming that people know that it's part of the Asian continent, because I said that in my TBR video, but I just want to say I know that that's not quite right. Also, I don't fully know how I want to rate this. I feel like as a normal book, it's probably a 4. However, I've been so iffy on the last few volumes of this. I think I've only given one a 3, and that was number 7. So I think this might still be a 4. However, it did not end the way I wanted it to. It felt definitely more of like an epilogue wrapping up thing, but Shimana did not end up with who I wanted. Everything that I talked about in the last few volumes was what this was. She ends up, spoiler alert, with the landlord, they do a thing where they like jump ahead 2 years where she would be officially 19, I think it is, and he's like 24. But she still feels the same maturity level as her 16 and 17-year-old self, because she's 16 at the beginning of the series and turns 17 in one of the middle volumes, and then this one does like a 2 years later sort of thing. But she still feels very, very young. And I don't know how I feel about this. This is the same author that did Orange, and I absolutely love that series. And I did start off really, really enjoying this. However, it took that turn that I didn't necessarily like, especially with the fact that there is basically an adult and a teenager together. So beginning of the series, definite 5 stars, but the later books in the series are more of like a 3, 3.5, sometimes a 4, because some of the other characters are wholly developed and amazing, and I absolutely love some of that kind of stuff, but the central relationship in this story is not one that I necessarily like. Because of this, I'm not saying that it's necessarily something that people aren't going to like or enjoy, and that you can't have problematic elements in books like this. However, me, especially as somebody who is a mother nowadays, has to just sort of be aware of the things in books like this, and if my son eventually wants to read something like that, that's perfectly fine. However, I do then would want to have that conversation about why certain things are not things you can do in real life. I would never want him to be, you know, an adult going after a kid in high school, or the opposite, him being a kid in high school and dating somebody that is an adult. Doesn't matter genders at all for this, just in general. Somebody that is like 16 or 17 years old does not have the emotional maturity to date an adult, and that is something that I personally do not like in stories. That being said, I did give a lot of these books 4-star ratings because of other things. I liked other parts of it, especially since Shamana is the main character, but her and her relationship were central to the plot, but they weren't the only plot. There was also familial relationships with other things, and who knows, the more I think about this, the more I might want to rate the books lower, especially once they got into that relationship. But it's just something that, you know, people should be aware of if that's something they want to read about. That being said, this is going to be my last update for this vlog. I will not be participating in the reading rush again, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in my normal videos. Bye.